Yes, hello everybody, and welcome in once again to the Fantasy Wildcard DFS show. We're coming at you every single week, see if we can help you make some cash. And we got two of the best co-hosts available to do that for you, because we make up together the best three in the Fantasy Wildcard team. We've got Ali. You can find him at FF Dynasty Grill over on X, and we got Kev. You can find him at Dynasty_GOAT on X. Boys, we're going to get right into it. We're going to smash through it. We're going to start off with our cash lineups, and we're going to start over with quarterbacks, right?
Let's do it. And yeah, I've gone for some uber safe quarterbacks this week, and start off with the first one who's got the dream quarterback matchup in Lamar Jackson, $7,800 at the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Steelers, let me tell you, are almost neck and neck with the Denver Broncos as most pathetic defense right now in terms of giving up points to the quarterback position and the wide receiver position. They've given up a quarterback one performance in 3 out of 4 weeks. Obviously, CJ Stroud last week gave up 30 points to CJ Stroud, 3 passing touchdowns. One of them was actually from Devin Singletary. It's quite funny. Yeah. And Lamar Jackson, quarterback 4 through 4 weeks. The passing offense hasn't been there. We all thought that there were going to be some air raid offense, but it's not been that. It's been more of the old school Baltimore Ravens where Lamar Jackson is running in touchdowns everywhere. Another 2 last week. Just running the ball as well as he ever has, looking great. I think this is going to be a game where the Ravens are going to be able to run the ball and pass the ball on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think he's viable for cash and GPP. I think in GPP, this is probably my favourite stack of the week is with him and someone else that I'm going to talk about later on. But yeah, I absolutely love Lamar Jackson at 7,800. And then Patrick Mahomes, slightly more expensive. Your guy, Mags, 8,200 at the Minnesota Vikings. This is just going to be unbelievable. If you look at Mahomes' stats, he's actually better away from home than he is at home. This is going to be in the dome against Minnesota defense that just gives up play after play. Their offense is great in itself, so I think this is going to hit the over. Obviously, we look at Mahomes; he's not hit the heights yet this season, but I think he's going to want to put on a big performance in front of all of the new Swiftie fans that will be watching, all the girls that now got into NFL because of Taylor Swift. He's going to want to put on a performance, and I think he's just got shootout potential. The Vikings are obviously desperate. The over-under is the second highest of the slate at 50.5. I just think he is uber safe for your cash lineups.
Yeah, the Vikings are going to know Patrick Mahomes is trouble as soon as he walked in, right? That's absolutely for sure. I love both those picks. Lamar Jackson, 10 out of 10 pick. Patrick Mahomes, 11 out of 10 pick. Absolutely smashed it. I love it. And we're going to move onto our running backs on our cash play. Kev, you got 2 running backs for us, right?
Yeah, I'm going to make another Taylor Swift joke then, but I'm not going to. I'm going to refrain from that joke. We're going to move on to a guy that's been a joke in fantasy over the past few years, actually, but I think as a cash running back play, so when I'm really into this week, going for David Montgomery, 6,600 against the Panthers. He came back last Thursday and he did unbelievable. 3 touchdowns on Thursday Night Football. He was on many benches across leagues because he was touch and go as to would he play, but not only was he playing, but he absolutely dominated. And people that were saying Jamal Williams with his 17, 18 touchdowns, whatever, last season, that can't be repeated. Montgomery's pace in that, which pretty incredible. It shows you it's more about the system than the player. But I'm going to stop giving him grief because he is my cash running back play that he should be making. Panthers, they made Alexander Mattison look like Alexander the Great last week. I think in terms of David Montgomery, they're going to make him look like David the Goliath, actually, this week. So definitely something you can be really interested in and something that's going to be highly owned. My alternate pick is Devon Achane, or Devon Achane, as I'm going to continue to call him, 6,100 against the Giants. Again, they're going to be big favourites at home against the horrible team in the Giants. Such popular play if we're looking at fantasy points per game. He's right up there. I think he's top 3 or top 2, right up there. Noah McCaffrey just obviously missed a few games at the start. So yeah, he's going to be super popular at a very attainable price. So they're going to be who I'm building my cash lineups around at running back.
Yeah, absolutely love that. I mean, the David Montgomery one makes me sad because I still want the Jahmyr Gibbs breakout week, but I think you're spot on with Montgomery because he just continues to get those touchdowns, right? And then, yeah, I mean, Devon get the tables, Etienne, and he seems to be overtaking Bubba Raheem Mostert in that roster. So yeah, I think he's looking good against the Giants, who look absolutely terrible. So I'm gonna hit us up with some wide receivers. I got two for you. The first one, I mean, this guy is just balling out. After, slight bickering 2 weeks ago, AJ Brown has looked nothing but absolutely dominant since then. He's been Jalen Hurts' favorite target, and they're going up against the LA Rams. It's going to be a high-scoring game, I think. LA Rams obviously have got some really good offensive weapons on their side as well, so expect AJ Brown to be getting those air yards as usual, and he's just on such a hot streak at the minute that I think he's going to be a really safe pair of hands for your cash lineups. Then the alternative, another guy, safe pair of hands. We've already spoken about this offense. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's been really solid this year, but he's not had that huge, big bumper breakout game yet, and I think that might come against the Carolina Panthers. He will be heavily targeted, you'll imagine, by Jared Goff, as he usually is. But I think Amon-Ra might be about to have one of those big breakout special games because he's definitely got that in his locker for sure. And that's my two wide receivers. We're going to go pitch it right back to you, Ali. You got some flex plays for us, right?
I have, yeah. So this is a running back. So I tend to look for running backs in cash plays because you just know they've got the guaranteed volume or should be projected volume. So it gives you such a safe floor. This guy hasn't really been getting the volume, but it's been looking progressively better week in, week out since obviously the injury. It's Breece Hall, and I can't believe he's as cheap as he is at $5,400 at the Denver Broncos. And the Denver Broncos just can't stop anybody right now. Khalil Herbert had a nice game. See, Miami ran all over them. I think the Jets are gonna win this game. I think that they're definitely gonna win this game. Zach Wilson played fine, and Breece Hall, I think he's starting to look much more like his old self. He's running more freely. He broke off a couple of nice plays against the Chiefs the other night. And yeah, the Denver D is just setting records in all the wrong ways. Multiple metrics where they are on record to break. There's bad defenses there are. There's several stats that I saw today that were really quite funny, and you just did not expect this from this Denver D. I thought they were actually going to be pretty impressive this year, but not turned out to be the case. One of the most disappointing teams for sure, and I think the Jets are going to be able to move the ball at will. I think they're obviously pissed at the fact that they were cheated against the Chiefs the other night. Had to get that in there. And yeah, I think Breece Hall is good for close to 100 yards this week and possibly a touchdown. So I think in terms of the price point that he's at in cash play, I think his ceiling is there. So I'm really happy to play him in my flex spot. And then I tried to look for another running back under the threshold of 5,500 and wasn't able to do it. So I've gone for a really safe, an old guy. Kev's going to love this pick in Adam Thielen at 5,100 at the Detroit Lions. You mentioned it there, Mags, that you think that Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to have a nice game. I think Adam Thielen's going to be fine, and they're going to have to turn to the pass to keep up with this Detroit Lions offense. Just look at his targets for the last 3 weeks. 9 targets, 14 targets, 8 targets. That is giving you really safe floor. 275 yards in that time and 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, he's getting it done. This game is in a dome. We know Jared Goff at home puts up points. That it's got the 3rd highest game implied total of the slate. So the bookmakers are expecting a high-scoring game. I just think, yeah, the Panthers are going to be down. They can't run on the Detroit Lions defense. They've been really impressive. Sanders is struggling, so I think that they're going to have to turn to the pass. Bryce Young is going to have to pass the ball. And with it, Adam Thielen is going to have a safe floor, another 8 to 10 targets this week. And at 5,100, I think he's a great play in cash in your flex.
Yeah, I think those are two great picks. And I think for Breece Hall, Breece Hall did look good against the Chiefs. Dalvin Cook looked bad against the Chiefs as well. So I think Breece Hall is just going to slowly take more of that target share from Zach Wilson, take more of those snap counts as well. So that is good in his favor. Adam Thielen, I mean, I was looking at sort of most of my winning lineups at DFS so far, and the thing they have in common, Adam Thielen has been in so many of them because he has been so cheap in that flex spot. He's creeping up in price, but I still think at 5,100, that's really good value for your flex where you really want to be under that 5,500 mark. So Thielen still really, really good value. And Kev, you got some good value tight ends for us as well, right?
I mean, first of all, tight ends an absolute disgrace this season. Just it's getting to the point where it's a little bit like defense and special teams, where you're just hitting and hoping, and it is becoming really difficult. But I think the couple of guys I've picked out for this week, the guys that projected really nice volume for various reasons. So first one, my pick of tight end, cash tight end, is TJ Hawkinson, 6,500 against the Chiefs, so he's right up there. He's the second priced tight end on the slate, but it's the highest over under total on the week. I see the Chiefs getting ahead, and then the Vikings sort of playing catch up and tons of passes. We know Andy Reid is a smart dude over time. I think he's going to be doing all he can and more to stop Justin Jefferson, and I think that's going to lead to a funnel at tight end, which traditionally Andy Reid teams, they tend to be weakest against tight ends. So yeah, that's where I'll be leaning in cash at the tight end pick. My alternate is, obviously, I'm an Eagles guy. I've got to get an ex-Eagles player in there as a bit of a homer. So Zach Ertz, 3,500 playing the Bengals. Again, if you take out the one game, which I think he might have been carrying a knock, he's been really consistent with volume, getting sort of like 8 to 10. He's not doing tons with it, but literally, if you're getting 8 targets at tight end, that's already putting you as a tight end one on the week. So yeah, I think 3,500. If you're looking for certainty and you don't want to pay up, he's the ideal guy. I've got a sneaky feeling the Cardinals could run them pretty close this week as well. And we know that has the potential to be a shootout. We know the Cardinals underdogs have been better than expected, I would say. So yeah, as long as Joe Burrow can keep up with Josh Dobbs, who thought we'd be saying that before the season? If that happens, I think Zach Ertz in for a really solid, comfortable day in cash.
Yeah, I mean TJ Hawkinson, tight end, number 1 overall in fantasy, so he'll be certainly racking up those points for your DFS teams. I mean, yeah, the only issue with Zach Ertz, Kev, is, the Cardinals could be so far ahead that they're just going to run the ball through James Conner because the Bengals absolutely suck. Shout out Hannah Rowland. Now on to my last little pick that we got here. It is the defense and the special teams. I got 2 for your cash lineups. One is this Patriots defense. You got 3,100 for a Patriots defense, which we know is traditionally very, very solid. Going up against the New Orleans Saints team, I don't know what the hell is going to happen next week. I don't know who's going to be playing quarterback. Don't know who they're going to be throwing it to. They've got like 3-4 different running backs. It's all a bit messy over at New Orleans. And I think that plus Bill Belichick probably going to equal a bad day at the office for the New Orleans Saints. So I think the Patriots defense there at 3,100 is really good value. And then the other one is the most obvious one of the week. It is the toothless Pittsburgh Steelers, quarterbackless. Mitch Trubisky, but pretty same thing, right? Going up against the Ravens, 4,200, quite expensive, but expect them to score really, really highly on that. So those are the 2 defenses I'll be looking at for this week. And that's our cash lineups finished. We're not going to go into our sort of tournament play lineups. This is where we're trying to get a lower ownership rate. We're trying to really go the highest amount of points possible and just generally be a little bit riskier, I suppose you could say. So we're going to kick things off with our quarterbacks. Ali, we're back to you.
Yes, so I'm going to be going for the bloke that was talked about as the MVP before the beatdown that was the Dolphins against the Buffalo Bills. So I'm going for Tua Tagovailoa and 7,100 against the hapless New York Giants. And I just think the Dolphins are going to be absolutely pissed at what happened against the Bills, only scoring 20 points and conceding, 48, whatever it was. And I just think watching the game last night with the New York Giants against the Seahawks, the New York Giants look very close to the worst team in football right now. They just look lost, absolutely lost. And I think the Dolphins are going to have their way with the Giants at home. It's not going to be pretty. And I just think it's going to be an absolute beatdown. We saw when they were up against the Broncos, they didn't let up. They didn't take their foot off the pedal. They just piled on the points. All right, they didn't go for the record in the end, but to put up 70 points was ridiculous. And I can see them putting 40 or 50 points up against the Giants at home. I think Tua at that price point gives you the ability to stack with Tyreek, with Jalen Waddle. I just think the stacks will be glorious this week. I just think the ceiling is extremely high for Tua. In terms of a bring back for the Giants, I'm not sure who you would put in there. There's probably some cheap options in there, but none that are really, really looking good or have a high ceiling. But in terms of Tua, at any point, him and Tyreek, I think, are going to get back on track this week against the Giants. And then the second one is Kirk Cousins against your Kansas City Chiefs. At 6,900, I think that price point, I think under 7K in a game that is such a high over-under. I think I want to have every part of that game because I think it will be a shootout. I personally want Justin Jefferson in every single one of my DFS lineups, whether it be cash, whether it be GPP, just because he's been so consistent and he's been in so many of the winning lineups that I need to take his quarterback as well in GPP. So I think Cousins will be targeting Jefferson wherever he can because they're going to be playing from behind. I think Mahomes is obviously going to put up a ton of points away in the Dome. Kansas City is 7th against the running back, so they're a tough run defense. I think Madison is not, and Cam Akers are not going to be able to get it done on the ground. So they're going to lean on Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson. Hopefully Jordan Addison can catch a ball this week would be nice. And therefore, Kirk Cousins, I think, will have himself a really nice day. And I just think that price point of 6,900 allows you to stack with Justin Jefferson and potentially bring him back with someone like Kelsey or someone on the other side. So really like Cousins at his price point.
Yeah, bold strategy going for a quarterback that's not going to throw any touchdowns. That's really bold strategy. No, actually, no, you're right. It probably will be a shootout like most of these Minnesota games. So Cousins, you can never go wrong, especially if you're stacking him up with Justin Jefferson. Yeah, I think Tua and the Dolphins are going to bounce back. But maybe more on that later whenever I get to some of my picks. But Kev, we're going to go back to you. We got a wild card DFS first on this, Kev. So why don't you talk through your running backs?
Yeah, we'll keep it in the bag for a little bit, but yeah, the first pick, the main man, GPP running back, Bijan Robinson at home against the Texans, 7,700. I think in terms of what he's done so far, has been excellent. He has been overshadowed by McCaffrey, but we're seeing excellent workload. We're seeing 3-down usage. The smell of Tyler Algier is fading, I would say, overall. I just think, in GPP, you're looking for ceiling, and he's one of the few I feel that you can consistently expect potential ceiling. We have seen it from other guys randomly, but yeah, Bijan's someone that they're at home. You'd expect them to beat the Texans. Being honest, if Ridder can do anything, or if Heineke can come in and do anything when Ridder gets benched, then yeah, it's potentially got away. And the way CJ Stroud's been playing as well, and the Texans have outperformed, it could get into a spicy contest, and maybe Vegas thinks with the lower over-under on the week. So Bijan's my first one. My second guy, my alternate pick, he's already been mentioned on this show already. Breece Hall, 5,400 at the Broncos. I think he's got the ceiling, an untapped ceiling that we've not seen yet this season. There's been the odd glimpse, the big play when he tripped up his blocker this week, when he had that monster run against the Bills week one as well. So I think the big plays could be even bigger when he can get to finish these and get them resulting in a touchdown. Essentially, in GPP, if he can get 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, you've absolutely crushed it with the bonuses. I think that's the potential against the Broncos defense, which is as Ali said before, it's terrible against the run. Khalil Herbert had an amazing day this week, just gone. So yeah, them are two. I think Brees Hall 5,400 such a dirt cheap price as you're running back two, and Bijan's the ceiling play that you can go for if you're trying to get a little bit different, and maybe hoping that people do pay up and go for your Jeffersons and your Tyreeks.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think Bijan, yeah, you're right. He's just so good and so talented. And yeah, there's that hum of Algier is feeding into the background a bit. And yeah, we've already talked about Brees Hall. What a great play he's going to be. Might be high owned, but you don't want to miss out on that action if he does go off against the Broncos, which he is quite likely to do. And let's swing around to our wide receivers, and there'll be no shock after we spoke about Tua. You got to go for Tyreek Hill, right? He is very expensive. He's at $9,000, but he has got a great chance to be the wide receiver one overall for this week. He's going up against those helpless Giants. I mean, is Tyreek Hill? Like, I don't know how much I need to say, really. This guy, he can go for 200 yards next week. Like, he really could. It's not even an exaggeration. He is that good. The Giants are playing that badly. He's someone that could put up so many points to you, so you don't want to miss out on that. The second one I've got, I don't know if you guys believe me, but I looked it up today. This guy is the leader for yards after catch in the NFL right now. It's Nico Collins. He's sitting at number 1 yards after the catch. He is only 5,600, and he's going up against a Falcons team that we've already talked about. They're not great either, not doing the business. So I think the Texans can continue to roll, and Nico Collins can continue to add to that yards after the catch ability that we've seen so far. So I think those are two really good, solid plays for your tournament lineups at wide receiver. And Ali, we're going to pitch it back to you. You've got some flex positions for us, right?
Oh, I do. So this is my favorite play of the week. Perhaps we should have a favorite play of the week segment, because I would just want to talk about this guy. This guy is guaranteed to smash, and it's Zay Flowers, 5,500 at the Pittsburgh Steelers, the hapless Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So this is week 1, Brandon Ayuk, 129 yards and 2 touchdowns. Week 2, Amari Cooper, 7 for 90 yards, fair enough. Week 3, Devontae Adams, 172 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then week 4, you've just spoke about him there, Nico Collins, 168 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Zay Flowers is going to smash this week for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, guaranteed. Book it right now. Perhaps not. He's going to have a good game, and I think at that price point, you're going to be making money. I think he's going to be able to form sort of 3 times his price right now. He obviously disappointed in week 4, but the Cleveland defense is really tough. They're playing lights out right now, whereas Pittsburgh's defense is the complete opposite. They're pretty much as useless as a chocolate fire guard right now. They're absolutely getting torched. I just think, it's as safe as houses. I think Zay Flowers is as safe as houses. I think I love the stack with Lamar Jackson. I think they're going to air it out a bit more this week. And I just think Zay Flowers isn't going to let you down. And at his price point, he should be priced higher because he's the wide receiver 1 there. And he's going to smash this week, guaranteed. Number 2, I'm reaching down the well a little bit for my alternate play. This is Michael Wilson, at 3,700, only 3,700 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Josh Dobbs is going to have a field day. No, he might have a field day, but he has been targeting this guy an absolute ton the last few weeks. And this is the guy that I actually was speaking about in the offseason, where I was drafted him in the back end of round 3. Loved the value on Michael Wilson. Thought his talent was there, but situation wasn't great. Well, he's turned out to be almost the number 1 target in the minute right now, other than Zach Ertz. He's quietly, and the last 2 weeks, he's been up against the Dallas defense and the San Francisco 49ers defense. Well, week 3 against Dallas, he put up 86 yards. And then last week, 7 catches for 76 yards against the 49ers and 2 touchdowns. So at his price point, you're not going to find many people with that ceiling at 3,700. I think Josh Dobbs is playing well enough to elevate these young players. I think he's keeping them in games. I think it's going to be a close game against the Bengals. I think they've obviously been terrible. They're going to want to get going. I think Arizona is always a good way of getting your offense going. So perhaps we see more of the Bengals offense that we know of. I just think it could be a high-scoring game. And yeah, Michael Wilson at 3,700, I think he's got the ability to score a touchdown and, yeah, smash at that price.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to keep up with Zay Flowers. Guaranteed smash. Lock him in. Safe as house is. I think we had like 5 Ali stamps of approval on Zay Flowers now, so I'm not here to argue. I think he's going to have a great game as well. I love Michael. When I seen that in the show sheet, I was like, 2 thumbs up from me. Absolutely. Look, so good. He's putting the shades on. Absolutely. 3,700. I don't know how. This will be the cheapest Michael Wilson will be all year. Definitely. Because that value is only going to go up and up and up. So take advantage of it while it's so cheap. So love those picks at the flex position there. What did you call it? The play of the week, Ali?
The play of the week.
Play of the week. Yes. Well, Kev, maybe Kev can top the play of the week. You're going to talk about some tight ends, Kev. Can you top that?
I cannot top that, no. But I'm going to give you some GPP tight end plays this week. The first guy, someone that's, I guess if you've got any sort of dynasty players or redraft players that listen to this show, then it's a guy that's not lived up to expectations. It wasn't a shock after moving from the high-powered Dallas offense. Dalton Schultz, 3,400 at the Falcons. Like I said earlier on in the show, like it's a mess. It's tight end. A lot of it is guesswork. But I think with Schultz, 2 things I like: the volume he had last game, and also the matchup that the Falcons are very beatable against tight end. I think they're bottom 5 worst. And I think what you've got with this play, you've got the potential as a leverage play for people that are going mad for Collins and Tank Dell, which rightly they should be, because I think you tell the story. Collins is a great play in one line. You can tell another story. Actually, I'm going to take a bit of leverage, go for Schultz, and if it goes that way, I'm going to knock out 30% of the field from the Collins side. And then also, my running back pick was Bijan. So you've got potential. Play Bijan on one side, play Schultz as well on the other. And then you're telling a story that if they both go off, it's correlating nicely towards a winning lineup. So while I don't like the player, I like the pick at 3,400. Second guy, Hayden Hurst, 3,100 at the Lions. I agree. The Panthers are going to be playing from behind. I think Hayden Hurst at that price, similar to Thielen, it's another leverage play you could make. But yeah, at the time you're kind of guessing you're going for lower price guys and hoping you hit, or you're going for the elite guys. So yeah, they're two players I really like this week. Whilst I put a peg on my nose.
Yeah, absolutely. Schultz, like that target share last week is definitely encouraging. So yeah, it's good to see him. Hopefully, he'll be worked into the offense a little bit more. And I mean, his quarterback looks great, which is really good for him. And yeah, Hayden Hurst, he's a guy I always think, yeah, I mean, he's got a rookie quarterback. We know that they can link up well with the tight ends. At 3,100, he's got just as much chance as any other of these tight ends, right? As going off and having a big game. So why not take the cheaper option of those? So yeah, I think Hayden Hurst and Dalton Schultz both really good picks there. And I've got some defenses and special teams for you to wrap things up. I mean, you got to start off with the best defense in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs, going up against, I mean, Justin who? No, absolutely not. The Chiefs at 3,300 have potential to absolutely smash against the Minnesota Vikings. The main reason for that is we're looking at the special teams and we're looking at the big takeaways that the defense can get. Kirk Cousins looked bad in his last game. I would be surprised if he isn't throwing at least one pick here. So you're going to get your points up for that, getting those big plays. Chiefs and special teams seem to finally figure things out. All that's missing now is that big sort of play, which we've not seen from the special teams this year. I think it might come up against the Vikings, who, again, I mean, anyone not called Justin Jefferson is doing everything they can to lose games for that team. So I think it might be the same on the special teams. The Chiefs quite good in there as well. So that could be good for that big boom potential, not necessarily keeping a low score line, but making these big plays. The second one, it's the reverse of the last one I talked about. It's actually the Saints defense going up against the New England Patriots offense, mainly because the Saints defense is really, really good and the New England offense isn't all that hot. So it just seems to me at 3,000, it just really stood out to me as really good value getting the defense that's that good, going up an offense that isn't really up to too much. So those are my defense and special teams picks for your lineups. And guys, that's it. I think that's some pretty solid advice to go and make some money. Isn't that right, guys?
Making it rain.
Absolutely.
Write it in pen.
Write it in pen. Safest houses, write it in pen. Guaranteed, locked in.
Seal of approval.
Seal of approval. All of the above, definitely. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in and listening. If you are not already, make sure you're following us over on X at Wildcard DFS, and of course on the Fantasy Wildcard main channel. You can find that at Fantasy Wildcard. Hey, check us out on YouTube as well. Go and search Fantasy Wildcard Podcast Network. Go have a look at us on there too. Don't forget, if you want to get involved and you want to join us, we have got a $5 money maker that you can join. I've won it. Kev's won it. And that's the end of that sentence. You could also be in that winners list if you come and join us. So thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.